Hi, hello, and welcome to this very special interview that we have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today on deck, I have someone very, very important, I believe, to your health. And that is author Phyllis Ginsburg. Phyllis, welcome to the show. What is the name of your book?
Well, thanks for having me. The name of my book is Tired and Hungry No More, Not Your Ordinary Guide to Reclaiming Your Health and Happiness.
My. Yes, that's exactly why I wanted to interview you for this series, because when I reviewed the book and saw this title, I said, my gosh, there's so many people on this planet that absolutely need to hear the message of this book. So one of the things that I always like to start off every interview with is the question, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, I actually was inspired to write this coming back on an airplane after visiting my dad. He had had a stroke a couple of years ago, and I knew it was time to write this book. I have been living a healthy lifestyle because my mom died at 37.
Oh boy.
And I just knew that if genetics played a huge role in my health, I was doomed unless I did something different. And at 19, I went to a weight loss program. They did a blood test, and I had super high cholesterol and triglycerides. And it was amazing. Within 6 weeks, I lowered it to normal by changing my diet, adding some exercise, and I felt like I had the empowerment over my health, that I wasn't destined to have horrible diseases like arthritis, migraine headaches, cancer, and die at a young age like my mom. So it was really a significant time in my life. I've been living a healthy lifestyle going on almost 40 years now. And when I decided to do some writing, I started with a blog. And so 5 days a week, I wrote about healthy mind, because my background is psychology, a healthy eating, healthy body, a healthy recipe, and family fun. So those are my I wrote 5 days a week. And I turned the blog posts into Tired and Hungry No More.
And that's this book right here, right, that we're seeing. Hopefully we're seeing, there we go.
Yes, Tired and Hungry No More, that's it.
Lovely. Okay, so the book is available on Amazon, essentially. And that's one of the things that I wanted to kind of chat with you about when you say that this really kind of came out of your own experience and the trauma of losing your mother at such an early age, and I guess the realization that, hey, I'd better do something about this. I see this impending problem that may happen to me. You wrote this book. So when you sat down to actually write it, Phyllis, who did you write it for? I mean, who did you have in mind to actually read and get benefit from this book?
Actually, I have been working as a therapist for 30 years, and about, 7, 8 years ago, I shifted my practice from high conflict divorce, which was my expertise, to working with people who want to make healthy lifestyle changes. And what I had seen in working with lots of people with cancer, diabetes, some really severe health situations, that a lot of it is lifestyle, and a lot of it is, there's this emotional component. And probably most people don't know, the Center for Disease Control says 85% of all illnesses have an emotional component. It's huge. And so I have written this book for people who are tired of struggling. They've been trying to stick with a diet. Their doctor says you've got to change something. You've got to eat better, exercise, sleep more, do something to improve your health. And they can't stick with it or can't sustain it.
Wow.
So that's why I wrote the book.
Interesting. So, that sort of, to me, begs the question, what makes this approach, or the approach that you present in the book, different from some of the sort of sage, quote unquote, sage wisdom that we hear from other gurus and experts and so forth in this field?
So the first thing that, when somebody is told you need to do something, there's usually resistance. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up something. I like my food. I like my lifestyle. I do want to be healthier, but I don't want to do the work. And there's this resistance. And I tell people, it's not your fault. It's your programming. It's the autopilot that you're on. The brain really likes you to be in a comfort zone. As humans, we do like to do what's predictable, what feels safe and comfortable. And there's lots of reasons why somebody would choose to stay, let's say, overweight. It could be because it feels safer to be in a bigger body. I've had people tell me that.
Interesting.
They don't want the attention from, sometimes it's just men, but oftentimes I'd rather be invisible. So if I'm in a bigger body, people won't see me. I fit in with my family because they all eat this way. This is the way I was brought up. And if I choose a different lifestyle of eating, I'm not going to fit in with my family anymore. So there's a lot of reasons why people will choose to not pursue, or at least not be able to sustain a program. And what I do is I start with getting your brain on board first. So for example, looking at what your thoughts are, what the resistance is, and then what you can do about it. Because there's a lot of things that you can do to shift where you're at with your thoughts, and it doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to be a big ordeal. Positive psychology has introduced a whole realm of research of what either you can do or you can think in different ways. I like to teach people possibility thinking, which is a whole different ballgame from survival thinking.
Absolutely. And I guess your approach then would be more, and it makes sense to me as well, that the approach would be, first, get your mind right. Mm-hmm. Make sure that your operational, your OS, your operating system is actually equipped to do what you need it to do, essentially.
Right. Otherwise, you've got this inner struggle going on. And for a lot of people, they don't know what the inner struggle is. They're consciously not aware, but it doesn't matter. The book takes people through several different things to think about so that you can either get some clarity or just bypass knowing what it is and shift things without knowing.
Interesting. And both pathways are workable?
Yes.
Interesting. So it sounds to me like the sort of the first big difference with this book is that you start from a very psychological standpoint, getting your mind right first. And I guess that kind of marches in lockstep with your background as a psychologist.
Yeah, actually, I'm a marriage family therapist by license, not a psychologist. But yes, that's my experience in working with people for 30 years is that survival thinking, fear, and all of the things that we are programmed with from the time we're 7 years old runs our life. And if you don't take a look and shift something, you're always going to be like reeled back into the original early child programming.
Interesting. Okay. So that kind of sounds like step one of the process. Kind of take us through the rest of the process.
So once you figure out some of the challenges of what's getting in the way, and you don't really have to think about this. Like when I propose things in the book and you get some information, you have then shifted something. I always say you can't get put back in the same box once you have new information. You could choose not to use it, but you already have it. You're aware. You know what, like you've made a connection, you've got an aha, and you can't undo new learning. At the same time, I also emphasize the brain loves small wins. So think about when you do something. I started playing some of these little brain games on my phone, and I love the puzzles that I can do within just a few seconds, find some words, and it's like it says impressive or nice or beautiful or amazing or something. Like it gives us just one little word. And there is this little something that happens in the brain when we succeed. Many successes over time get big results. And the remainder of Tired and Hungry No More has hundreds of things that you could do differently from what you're doing. And you can choose one or two. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to do a whole bunch of things. Maybe you need to change something in your diet because your doctor says so. Or you're too sedentary and getting some movement would be good. Or you don't get enough sleep. Like choose one area and then choose one or two different things that you would like to change. Don't go for 5 or 6 or try and do all of them. It's a setup for failure to do that. Think small wins. And when your brain gets lit up because you've successfully done something, the next day you're going to want to do it again.
Essentially, it sounds like you are like reprogramming yourself kind of step by step, sort of dopamine squirt by dopamine squirt, as you feel this reward for having accomplished something or accomplishing this small win.
Right. Actually, you're rewiring your brain for new healthy habits. There's a section in the book on energy psychology and EFT tapping that calms the fight or flight response and rewires the brain. And in there, I've got 10 EFT tapping scripts that have 3 different sections. And so once you calm the original situation down, open up to possibilities, anchor in something new, it's a game changer and it's permanent. When you get some of these things, I can say shifted or cleared, because energetically you're going to clear it. You can't go back. I don't know of anybody who has been able to bring back a problem that we have cleared, at least that I've worked with personally.
Yeah, and that's again the interesting thing about the brain, as I understand it, is its ability to change. And I'm talking about not just like change your thoughts, but I mean chemically change, anatomically change by virtue of what you're doing with it, right?
Absolutely. When my dad had his stroke, and now like there's so much more brain research. I started doing brain research in like 2005, 2006 as part of my training as a child custody evaluator. They brought in a brain expert and they showed pictures of scans of kids' brains when they are subjected to high conflict divorce and high conflict parents. And it was amazing. And I knew that I had to do something different than what I was doing so that I could actually pair together positive psychology and brain research, which is what I've been doing when I shifted away from the court work, which I had plenty of. And so I gave up that to be able to do this, which is so significant that you can actually have a damaged part of your brain restored. And if you can't restore that part, your brain actually goes and creates new places within the brain. It's not just we're replacing this one or it's damaged and you can't never get your functioning back in that area. Let's say it's speech or physical movement in an area, but other parts of the brain will pick up and build new neural pathways. And it is so exciting, the research that's available now that shows once we calm things down, you don't have to have a stroke to do this kind of reprogramming, but it happens all the time. And I don't think that most people realize that.
It's actually a constant state. It's in a constant state of change, is it not? Where we're learning, we're growing, and we're reinforcing maybe some old programming, etc. And that kind of it kind of harkens back to sort of the idea of the law of attraction. And I know that's not what we're talking about here, but it seems to me that we're always attracting something in our lives by virtue of our programming, and whether we know it or not, we're going to get the result. So you might as well program with something good, something that benefits you and your body and your spirit and your health and all of that, rather than something that's destructive. And it seems to me that that's essentially what's going on with Tired and Hungry No More.
Right. What we're doing is we're shifting from survival thinking, the fear, worry, stress, anxiety that leads to depression, even immobilization, the inability. Almost, I've had people say, I feel paralyzed. I'm so stressed and overwhelmed. I can't function to do what I need to do at work, at home. It's gotten to a pretty alarming rate for a lot of people out there, because they don't know that when you've got anxiety, that it's the thoughts that run it, or that your lifestyle. There's some situations where if you're feeling powerless, if you're feeling like you don't have a say in what you're doing, if you hate your job, of course you're going to be like depressed, anxious. You're going to have all these problems. And most people reach for the phone, they call their doctor, they get on some medication, but it doesn't get to the source of the problem. And I love getting to the source of the problem, correcting it, and having people actually thrive rather than just figure out how to survive.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of our birthright as healthy human beings, to do exactly that, which is, again, one of the reasons why I wanted to chat with you here in this form. And I wanted to also give you an opportunity, if you could share a tip or two. If you were going to give somebody just one bit that you really wanted everyone to understand and to internalize and maybe implement in their life from Tired and Hungry No More, what would that tip be?
The priority of, let's say, any change that you are seeking to make would be to be congruent with your thoughts, feelings, and actions. So if you are looking, let's say you're looking to lose some weight, I would start small and say, I'm going to lose 5 pounds. Don't go for like 20 or 50 or however many that you ultimately want to lose. Go for the 5 pounds. Keep it small. Get your brain on board so that you don't have this inner struggle and you don't go back to feeling like a failure because you can't keep it up. And then choose small things to do that'll make a difference. Like you might add, I'm going to have 1 or 2 extra servings of vegetables a day. Try it for a week. I'm talking really small successes, because most people, it doesn't matter if you're trying to lose weight or do an exercise program or even go to bed earlier. You do it for a few days, and the next thing you know, you're back to your old patterns because you haven't shifted the thoughts. And you go back to, I can't do it. You beat yourself up, and before you know it, you're just as bad or in worse shape.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. So again, and correct me if I go off the rails here, but what I'm hearing you saying is that this idea of setting small but attainable goals that you can, I wouldn't say necessarily get instant gratification, but it's certainly a much shorter window, right? To lose 5 pounds, for example, versus 25 pounds or other type of goal like that. And in that process, if I understand what you're saying, is it kind of slowly rewires the brain that, hey, I can achieve, I can work gradually towards this goal, and over time it becomes a habit, and that habit delivers the ultimate result that you're looking for. Do I have that right?
Exactly. You get an A for being a great listener and student. Yeah, definitely. And over time, what we want is to be able to sustain a healthy lifestyle.
Awesome.
And the best way that I know to do that.
And it makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me. Well, Phyllis, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to chat with us here. Again, I want to commend folks to if you want to have this positive change in your life, that you should definitely check out Tired and Hungry No More. It is, in fact, available on Amazon and wherever books are actually sold. And you can just go to Amazon, type in Tired and Hungry No More, and it will come up. And Phyllis, thank you so much for taking the time to once again chat with us today. One final opportunity here. I want to give you the opportunity to leave a final message for those watching that might be interested in making these changes in their life.
Yeah, well, first I have to say thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I want to give people hope that it is possible to shift your health situation, your whether it's physical, mental, emotional, and it doesn't have to take a long time, and it doesn't have to be difficult.
So with that, thank you, Phyllis. I really, really appreciate you being here, and go get the book, Tired and Hungry No More.
Go to bestsellerbuilders.com. We help authors get it done. Book success is #1 with Bestseller